good morning, good afternoon, possibly good evening. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, my fellow Americans, especially Texans, and everybody else, because we're inclusive like that. Welcome back to the Jack Rose Show. In this particular video, we're going to be discussing Texas constitutional carry, the law that was just signed by the governor of Texas a couple of days ago that does not actually go into effect until September 1st of the current year, 2021. Up until September 1st, 2021, the laws that have been on the books will still be active. They will still be in effect. They will still be enforced. Not until September 1st does anything change. Understand that up front. We're going to talk about that again. In this video, I'm going to attempt to avoid commentary on the things that I'm covering. I want to get through this as quickly as possible. There is a lot of information to cover. Do not take this video as official legal advice. If you do and you get in trouble, it's because you are stupid. Do not take this video as official legal advice. I am not an attorney. I do not pretend to be one on the internet. I do not play one on TV. If you want actual legal advice, if you have a legal argument, if you have a legal case pending and you need representation or any kind of information, talk to a fucking attorney. Don't take my regular guy advice. Understood? Roger. Moving forward. I think that's all the disclaimers. I think everything is out of the way. And so now we can dive into the nuts and bolts of House Bill 1927, Texas constitutional carry. Ready? Here we go. Effective September 1st, 2021. That's the very first thing we see. Okay, when we open up this document that was prepared by attorneys from U.S. Law Shield, also Texas Law Shield, again, not specific legal advice. Don't be stupid. The provisions of HB 1927, the Firearm Carry Act of 2021, the Act, or Texas constitutional carry, do not go into effect until September 1st. Until September 1st, a non-prohibited person who does not have a license to carry must continue to carry a handgun as if they were unlicensed. Okay? Nothing changes until September 1st. So if you don't have your LTC, act like you don't have your LTC. If you have your LTC, nothing has changed for you until September 1st. Understood? Roger. Moving forward. All right. We're going to skip past that. That's the table of contents. I got a quote here. This is from Texas Representative Matt Schaefer, author of House Bill 1927, in his closing speech on the floor of the Texas House of Representatives, May 23rd, 2021. The quote is as follows. We are charged with defending the freedoms that are owed to Texans and guaranteed by the Constitution. My faith is with law-abiding Texans who are the first to respond because they are there. Pause, rewind, roll it over, whatever. I'm not commenting on that in this video. We may get back to that in the next video. Moving forward. Spirit of constitutional carry. I could read through this. I'm not going to. It's a whole lot of text, and it's actually kind of irrelevant to the law that we need to be discussing. Who can and cannot carry under Texas constitutional carry? Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we need to get into. A person carrying a handgun under the authority of Texas constitutional carry must not be prohibited under state law and must meet the following requirements. Number one, it must be 21 years of age or older. Ironically, you can't buy a handgun from an FFL in the state of Texas under the age of 21. There may be an exception to that. That's commentary for another video. Requirement number 2. It must not be prohibited from possessing a firearm in a public place under Texas law. So we got must be 21 or older, and they can't be a prohibited person. They must not be prohibited from possessing a firearm in a public place under Texas law. All right, so anybody under 21 and criminals who aren't allowed to have guns, they're not allowed to carry under this law. Cool. Moving forward. Who is prohibited from possessing a firearm in a public place under Texas law? Felons. Leave that there. Anyone convicted of assault family violence. So let's read this. This is kind of important. A person who has been convicted of a Class A misdemeanor assault involving a family or household member before the 5th anniversary or released from confinement or community supervision, whichever is later. See Texas Penal Code section blah, 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 blah. It's actually Texas Penal Code section 46.04B, 04B. But domestic assault, basically what it's talking about. If you've been convicted of a Class A misdemeanor for domestic assault, you can't carry. This law does not protect you. It does not grant you a right to carry. Here's the kicker. If you're convicted of domestic assault within the last 5 years, you're not allowed to buy a gun anyway. You're a prohibited person. So you shouldn't fucking have one anyway because you're a prohibited person under both state and federal law. Have a nice day. Rule number 3. Anybody under certain protective orders. Okay, so felons, people convicted of assault, family violence, and people under certain protective orders aren't covered by this law. They can't carry under this law. They are prohibited from carrying under this law. They are prohibited from possessing a firearm in a public place under Texas law, so they do not meet requirement number 2. They can't carry. Roger, moving forward. Requirement number 3. Within the past 5 years, the person must not have been convicted of certain offenses. Assault causing bodily injury, deadly conduct, terroristic threat, disorderly conduct discharging a firearm, or disorderly conduct displaying a firearm. So if you have discharged your firearm, as in like a warning shot or being stupid and, shooting up in the air at a birthday party, and you've been convicted of that particular disorderly conduct, well, you're going to have to wait a while. And until then, you can't carry. If you've been convicted of brandishing a firearm at somebody, freaking Karen McCloskey style, I can't remember her actual first name, you're not allowed to carry under this law. Well, within the last 5 years. Okay. Moving forward from those requirements, I hope they're at least as clear as mud, if not crystal clear. Here is a legal tip from the attorneys that put this whole thing together. Okay, do not take this as legal advice from me. Honestly, you probably shouldn't take it as legal advice from them. You should contact a fucking attorney and ask them about it if you have any questions. There is no requirement that a person carrying under this act be a Texas resident. Roger. They still have to follow all the fucking rules under the act. They just don't have to actually be a Texas resident. They could be from California, and as long as they meet all the requirements, cool. It's legal for them to carry. I'm good with that. There's some other stuff in here about criminal street gangs, but it's convoluted, and I'm not really going to dig into it. If you're in a criminal street gang, chances are you're a prohibited person anyway. If you're in a criminal street gang and you've never done anything illegal, get out of the criminal street gang before you wind up doing something illegal that makes you into more of a prohibited person. Just saying. That shit only ends up three ways, and none of it's good. All right, none of it's good. Yeah. All right, I'm moving forward. I'm trying to avoid commentary in this video. It's actually kind of difficult. All right. Who can and cannot carry under Texas constitutional carry? Continued. This is the next page of this. So we got 4 requirements now. It must not be prohibited from possessing a firearm or ammunition under federal law. Hey, who saw that coming? I saw that coming. Did you see that coming? Excellent. The person who intends to carry must not be a prohibited person. How many times have we said that already in this video? They must not be prohibited from possessing a firearm or ammunition under federal law. Well, cool. Now, who is a prohibited person? Who is prohibited from possessing a firearm or ammunition under federal law? Let's look at that. 1, felons. A person convicted of a crime punishable by imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year. Felons. Felons are prohibited. Fugitives from justice. They are prohibited. A person who has fled from any state to avoid prosecution for a crime or to avoid giving testimony in any criminal proceeding. Fugitives from justice, prohibited persons. Addicts. A person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance. Well, the U.S. government considers marijuana to be a controlled substance, including use by individuals who reside in a state that has legalized marijuana for medical or recreational use. Therefore, a person may simultaneously be legal to use marijuana under state law, not Texas, yet prohibited from purchasing and possessing firearms under federal law. Interesting, isn't it? Moving forward. Number 4, prohibited from possessing a firearm or ammunition under federal law, mental defectives. That's actually what it says in the document. I'm not screwing around here. Mental defectives. A person who has been adjudicated as a mental defective or who has been committed to a mental institution. I would have used the term adjudicated mentally ill. I've been a part of some of those court proceedings. Those court proceedings and the constitutional protections that are actually afforded to the defendants in those court proceedings are part of the reason that I'm against red flag laws. But that's commentary. I'll save that for another video if I get around to making it today. This might take a while. Illegal aliens or non-exempt, non-immigrant aliens. That's a whole conversation all in and of itself. If you're an illegal alien, or if you're an immigrant, or let me use their specific terminology here, non-exempt, non-immigrant aliens. Because if you're an immigrant, you got an I whatever form. There are certain things you can do and actually get yourself a handgun or long gun hunting license and all that kind of stuff. Non-exempt, non-immigrant aliens is a very specific thing. Illegal aliens is a very specific thing. You can't have a fucking gun in the state of Texas, and you can't have a gun under fucking federal law. It is what it is. Dishonorably discharged. A person who has been discharged from the armed forces under dishonorable conditions. That's number 6. So if you got a dishonorable discharge, you're not allowed to buy a gun. You're a fucking prohibited person. That checkbox on the 4473 will prohibit you from not only buying a gun, carrying a gun, possessing a gun, all that shit. That's why dishonorable discharges just aren't worth it, even if you think that's the fastest way out. Number 7, if you have renounced your citizenship, well, yeah, welcome to prohibited person status. Number 8, if you are under certain protective orders. If somebody has a restraining order against you, you probably can't have a gun. Number 9, domestic abusers. Again, domestic violence, you're not allowed to have a gun. And all that stuff is on a 4473. So basically all the checkbox stuff on a 4473 that would rate you as a prohibited person, it'll keep you from carrying under Texas law. Okay, once this goes into effect. And it really kind of already is in effect now, because you can't be any of those things and get a license to carry. All right, so moving forward. What weapons are covered by Texas constitutional carry? Handguns. Any firearm that is designed, made, or adapted to be fired with one hand. That's Texas Penal Code, Section 46.01, parenthetical 5. Okay. So that's a handgun. Only handguns does this apply to. This doesn't apply to long guns, even though the law actually does kind of consolidate some of the laws between long guns and handguns. All right, kind of makes things equal, so that the same restrictions apply to long guns as apply to handguns. The same permissions apply to handguns as apply to long guns. Moving forward. How must you carry a handgun under Texas constitutional carry? Either concealed, which means concealed, which means you can't fucking see it. You can't see any part of the gun. It is not showing. It is concealed. Or open. Kind of no shit Captain Obvious territory. If you're carrying openly, your gun has to be in a holster. You can have a pocket holster, have your gun all the way in your pocket, fully concealed. There are some guns small enough to do that, especially in, some baggy pants or whatever. But if you're carrying openly, it has to be in a holster. Whether it's a belt holster or shoulder holster, it doesn't matter. There's no specific holster requirement anymore. They're getting rid of that. Okay, but it has to be in a holster of some kind. Commentary aside, moving forward. Where can a person carry under Texas constitutional carry? A little bit of a paragraph here. Generally, a person carrying a handgun under the authority of Texas constitutional carry may do so in any public, non-prohibited place or a public place without effective notice, either verbally, like, hey, we don't allow guns in here, or in writing, signage, that carrying a handgun in that establishment or in that public place is prohibited. Now, there are a lot of places where we're not allowed to carry. These really haven't changed. Okay. Even with a license to carry, you were not allowed to carry in these places. Most of them had signage up letting you know that you are not allowed to carry there, whether you like it or not. Schools or educational institutions. Also, a school or educational institution transport vehicle or grounds, like a place, like a park, where a school-sponsored activity is taking place. So if it has anything to do with schools or educational institutions, just go ahead and assume you probably can't fucking carry there. Polling places, not allowed to carry at a polling place. Courts or offices utilized by a court, not allowed to carry there. Okay. That's third-degree felony. All of these so far are third-degree felonies. Third-degree felony to carry in a school or any of that stuff I listed off. It's third-degree felony to carry at a polling place. It's a third-degree felony to carry at a court or an office where court stuff is going on. Racetracks where wagering is taking place, not allowed to carry there. That's also a third-degree felony. Secured areas of airports, beyond the metal detectors, that's a third-degree felony. Within 1,000 feet of locations designated by Texas Department of Criminal Justice as a place of execution on the day a death sentence is to be imposed. So you're not taking your gun to the execution. That's a third-degree felony. Bars, 51% establishments, third-degree felony. Professional sporting events, Class A misdemeanor. Correctional facilities, third-degree felony. Civil commitment facilities, Class A misdemeanor to carry your gun around a civil commitment facility. Hospitals, nursing homes, Class A misdemeanor. Mental hospitals, third-degree felony. Amusement parks, Class A misdemeanor. A room or rooms of an open meeting of governmental entity, third-degree felony. So there's a whole lot of places where you are not allowed to carry, period. It's illegal. And if you do it, and if you get caught, and if you are charged and convicted, you're going to lose a whole lot more than just your time. You'll probably lose your rights to carry. You will probably become a prohibited person because you will probably be a felon. So don't fucking do it. What signs apply? 30-06 sign applies to license holders. 30-07 sign applies to license holders. The 30-05 sign, which is basically a no weapons sign. 4603 sign is basically weapons prohibited. If you have a weapon and we ask you to leave, then you're going to be fucking charged with trespassing and possessing a weapon on these premises. Violations of these signs generally considered a third-degree felony. Okay, you fucking get in trouble. If it's just a criminal trespassing charge, and that's just a criminal trespassing charge, but you can still get in trouble. So if you go anywhere and they got freaking signage up saying, don't carry a gun here, just don't fucking do it. All right? Don't fight with them about it. And if they don't have any signage and you walk in there and they say, hey, no guns allowed, leave. If you try to fight with them about it, you're automatically criminally trespassing. You don't fucking want those headaches. All right? So if anybody's got a 30-06 or 30-07 sign up and you don't have a license, they technically don't apply to you. But if that person is like, yeah, but you're carrying and I don't want you carrying in here, and they don't have any of the new signage or like a gun buster up or anything like that. And the gun buster actually now does just the no guns, just a gun with the circle and slash through it. That is legal signage now in the state of Texas. That was part of this whole compromise deal. And it's backed up by 30-05 and 46.03. All right. It's backed up by the penal code. It's backed up by these new laws. And basically what it means is we don't want guns here. So if you bring a gun in here and we tell you to leave, either verbally or in writing, and you understand that we told you to leave and you don't leave, that's criminal trespassing and possibly worse. So just don't fuck with it. All right. Moving forward. What signs apply to me? Same thing I already said. Okay. If there's 30-05 or a gun buster or no guns allowed or any of that bullshit, just don't fight that fucking battle. Go get your gas somewhere else. What conduct is prohibited under Texas constitutional carry? General note on open carrying. A person openly carrying a handgun under the authority of Texas constitutional carry must keep the handgun holstered. A handgun should not leave the holster unless a person is acting in justified defense or other lawful activity, like on a shooting range or, whatever. Brandishing, It's fucking illegal. Don't fucking do it. Carrying while intoxicated. It's fucking illegal. Don't fucking do it. All right. So, Texas constitutional carry checklist. We don't really need to go through this because everything that's on this we've already talked about. Moving forward. Can the police stop and disarm me because I'm carrying? Okay. In a voluntary encounter where you have the right to walk away, like you're in a gas station and there's a cop standing there, you could walk up to him and have a conversation, and you can walk away from that conversation. You're not being detained. There's no probable cause or reasonable justification for him to screw with you. Maybe you have a question for him, you know. Whatever your reason for having that conversation with a cop, it's a voluntary encounter between you and the cop, and it's nothing to do with you potentially violating any law. You're just having a conversation. In a voluntary encounter where you have the right to walk away, the police may approach any person in a public place and engage them in ordinary conversation, just like any other individual. A person who finds themselves in a voluntary encounter with the police is fully within their right to not engage in conversation and walk away. Simple as. Temporary detention is the next thing. Requires reasonable suspicion on the part of the police officer. A temporary detention occurs when a police officer stops and holds a person, restricting their right to walk away. A police officer is legally justified in conducting a temporary detention when the officer has reasonable suspicion based on specific articulable facts that a person has broken, is breaking, or will break the law. While lawfully detained, a police officer may check arrest warrants, frisk the outside of clothing, remove weapons, or handcuff and place a person in the back of a squad car. So, in a situation where you're being temporarily detained by the police for whatever reason, they may be writing you a ticket for jaywalking. They can take your fucking gun. Okay? They can take your gun away while you are being detained. They will have to give it back. Arrest requires probable cause. Police may arrest a person if they have probable cause to believe a crime has been or is being committed. In Texas, a formal arrest occurs when someone is placed into custody in a manner such that a reasonable person would believe that they have been deprived of their freedom. At the point of arrest, most of the person's legal rights and protections are triggered, including the right to remain silent, the right to counsel, etc. Identification only needs to be provided if a suspect has been arrested. You ain't got to tell them shit. Here's my ID. That's my name. That's my address. You can give them your phone number if you want. I wouldn't. I need to speak to an attorney. I need to speak to an attorney. Don't be a dick. Don't try to fight the fight right there on the sidewalk. That's just regular guy advice. It's not legal advice, okay? So, don't waive your rights without talking to your lawyer. Understand that under certain circumstances, the cops can and will disarm you. Why should I still get a license to carry a handgun? Well, I don't like the way they phrase this in the document. It's a little weird. Texas law gives LTC holders more rights. No, it fucking doesn't. Texas law gives LTC holders more protections for their rights and acting within their rights. Okay? But that's commentary. It's neither here nor there. With the Firearm Carry Act of 2021 becoming Texas law on September 1st, there remain several advantages under state law for individuals carrying licenses to carry, including reciprocity, being able to carry into some otherwise prohibited facilities and locations, expedited firearm purchases through FFLs. When you have your license to carry, you can go to an FFL and you can skip most of the NICS background check process because you've already had a background check to get that license to carry. They just take your LTC information and put it on the form and pretty much waive the rest of the process because you've already been checked. And considering the fact that you have to renew that license, and every time you renew it, you go through another background check, that's pretty legit. Okay. Your Texas license to carry will be recognized out of state, even if the state you're traveling to doesn't have constitutional carry. Now, if you're going to travel and you're going to rely on reciprocity, you need to know what the laws are in the places that you're traveling to, and especially in the places that you're traveling through. Because you get pulled over in, Alabama on your way to Florida, the laws between Alabama and Texas might be different, and you might or might not get in trouble. Maybe more permissible in some cases, maybe more prohibitive in other cases. So you need to know what the fuck you're doing. Look it up. If you need legal advice, once again, speak to an attorney. All right, federal gun-free school zones. Generally, the Federal Gun-Free School Zone Act prohibits carrying a firearm within 1,000 feet of a public, parochial, or private elementary, middle, or high school. There are several exceptions to this law. Primarily among them is that this prohibition does not criminalize the carrying of a firearm by a person who holds a handgun permit or license from the state where the school is located. This means a person who carries an accessible handgun in their vehicle while picking up or dropping off their child without a Texas LTC violates federal law, whereas a Texas LTC holder does not. Okay? So if you got your gun in the glove box and you're picking up your kid from school and you don't have a license to carry, congratulations, you're violating federal law. If you have a license to carry and your gun is in your glove box and you're picking up your kid from school, you're fine. You're not breaking the law, right? So as I've said a couple of times, having your license to carry provides more protections, okay? It almost kind of creates a special class. I recommend getting your license to carry, okay? You don't necessarily need it, and the training that you're going to go through to get that license to carry isn't necessarily firearms training per se. What it is legal training. They're going to teach you the rules. They're going to teach you the laws. They're going to teach you where you can and cannot carry with a license. Okay? They're going to tell you all the ups of having a license. They're going to tell you all of the responsibilities that go along with having your license. That's basically the training for getting a license to carry in the state of Texas. As far as firearm safety is concerned, as far as actual use is concerned, being able to shoot and all of that other wonderful tactical shit, that's nothing to do with an LTC course. That is absolutely nothing to do with a license to carry class. You will be tested on it, but you're expected to already have that shit handled before you show up there. It's not their job to teach you that during that class, and they're not going to. So, with that being said, understand there's an entire argument about this particular aspect of these laws that we'll cover in another video. Moving forward. All right. So, again, continued. Why should I still get a license to carry a handgun? Why should I still get my LTC in the state of Texas? Fast lane for firearm purchases. Already covered that. Carrying a handgun with an LTC under the age of 21. That's actually a little bit complicated, but I'll go ahead and read what they have to say here. Don't take any of this as legal advice. I'm not going to offer any commentary on it. An individual must be 21 years of age or older in order to take advantage of all the rights to carry a handgun under the Firearm Carry Act of 2021, Texas Constitutional Carry. However, members of the military or those honorably discharged remain eligible to obtain a license to carry if they are between the ages of 18 and 20. This means that a 19-year-old member of the U.S. military, guardsman, reservist, active duty, may obtain the right to lawfully carry a handgun in public once they acquire an LTC. It's Texas state law. Okay. School district employees who have an LTC are protected. If you're an employee of a school district and have been issued a Texas license to carry, Texas law protects your right to keep a firearm and ammunition concealed in your locked motor vehicle while it is parked in a school parking lot. In fact, Texas law prevents the school district from imposing any duties, restrictions, reporting requirements on where or how your firearms and ammunition are stored. However, these protections are not given to employees who do not possess a valid license to carry. Private property owners may not allow constitutional carry. Let's say I own a gas station, right? Someplace everybody's got to go sometime. You're going to go to the gas station. You're going to get your lotto ticket. You're going to get your gasoline. You're going to get your smokes or your sodas or, your chips, maybe the tacos that they make there are freaking awesome, whatever. Everybody's going to go to a gas station at some point, right? Well, the vast majority of people. That gas station owner might be like, yo, I don't want people carrying guns in my fucking store. Period. So there may be a prohibition on private property against carrying. Let's see what they say. There may be private property owners who have grown comfortable with the license holders carrying openly or concealed in their places of business, but are uneasy with the thought of unlicensed individuals exercising their right to carry on their property. The unlicensed people can be prevented with effective notice under the General Criminal Trespass Statute, Texas Penal Code Section 30.05, that's 30.5 sign. However, this section does not apply to license holders. In the event a property owner wants to prevent license holders from carrying, they are still required to provide effective criminal trespass notices under 30.6 for concealed carry and 30.7 for open carry. Once again, 30.5 doesn't apply to license holders. 30.6 and 30.7 only apply to license holders. So understand the signage that you're looking at. Okay. Roger. LTC holders are entitled to more notice at some prohibited locations. Hospitals, nursing facilities, and amusement parks continue to be statutorily prohibited places for a person carrying a handgun under the authority of Texas constitutional carry. However, to enforce this prohibition against license holders, effective Texas Penal Code sections 30.6 and 30.7, notice is required. Okay. Also, open meetings of government entities are no longer prohibited to license holders carrying a handgun under the authority of their LTC. So if you've got a city council meeting or a meeting with a state rep, you may actually be able to carry as long as you have your license. If you don't have your license, you're not carrying there. Not legally. Talk to an attorney. Finally, statutory prohibitions against carrying a handgun into a bar does not apply to license holders unless the bar is posted a 51% sign in accordance with the law. If there's a 51% sign, you're not carrying there legally, period, end of fucking story. License, no license, it doesn't fucking matter. Most bars are 51% establishments because they make up 51% or more of their income revenue from the sale of alcohol. If they make up more than 51% of their revenue from the sale of alcohol in a place where alcohol is consumed, you can't fucking carry there. Period, end of fucking story. It's, I believe, a third-degree felony. This is why liquor stores are different. You're not allowed to consume alcohol on the premises. I can carry my gun into specs as long as they don't have the signages up. I can't carry my gun into Jimbo's bar down the fucking street because they're a 51% establishment. LTC holders are allowed oopsies at airports. The fact that they actually wrote that in there, that's a quote. That's not me. That's a quote. LTC holders are allowed oopsies at airports. Commentary on that another time. When traveling by air, a license holder retains their ability to avoid arrest in the event they inadvertently leave their handgun in their carry-on baggage, as long as they promptly depart the secure area when notified that they are in possession of a handgun. So if they're like, hey, you can't have a gun here, and you fuck off, you leave, that is a defense. Okay, having your license will keep you from fucking going to jail. That's a good thing. All right, so we're getting towards the end of this. We got some FAQ. Some of it's pretty fucking stupid, but I'll go ahead and read through it. Question: when does constitutional carry go into effect? Once more, for those in the back, September 1st, 2021. Can a non-Texas resident carry under the authority of Texas constitutional carry? For those in the back, yes. Does a handgun I carry have to be registered to me? Bless your silly heart. There is not a firearm registry under federal or Texas law. As long as a person legally possesses the handgun, it will be considered legal. Can the handgun I carry be loaded? Yes. But with all firearms, continue to exercise safe handling practices. Can the police disarm me if I am carrying a handgun under the authority of Texas constitutional carry? Yes. A police officer may lawfully disarm any person carrying under the act if they reasonably suspect that person has committed a crime. Can I carry while wearing a mask? Yes. Mask requirements here in Texas should have little effect on an individual's carry rights. All right. We've got some definitions. If you guys need definitions, all of these definitions are actually covered in the law. They're identified. You can go look them up. House Bill 1927. We've got a couple of charts. Those were going to be a part of the more polished presentation that I was going to put together. But I'm not going to dive into that. It's the last page. Thank you. This was the information that I was reading from was prepared by the team at Walker and Taylor, PLLC, and especially Independence Program attorneys, T. Edwin Walker, Emily Taylor, and Richard D. Hayes. So these are the attorneys that prepared all this stuff. Once again, do not take this stuff as specific legal advice. This is just to give you guys a heads up as to what the law actually entails, who can and can't carry, where it's legal to carry and where it's not legal to carry. In truth, not a whole lot of things have changed, okay? I may do another video very shortly, or it may be later on this afternoon or this evening with a little bit more commentary talking about the general arguments that you can probably expect to have about this if you haven't had them already. Because once again, these laws do not go into effect until September 1st of 2021. If you guys got anything out of this video at all, I'm glad. If it was helpful at all, I'm glad that was the entire point. Okay, so if you liked the video, little thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, little thumbs down. Let me know why down in the comments section below. Share it with your friends and your family, even if it's just to make fun of me, even if you just want to troll the channels. I don't really care, okay? You're not going to hurt my fucking feelings. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got something useful out of it. That's why I did it. And that's about all. So commentary in another video, discussing the arguments in another video. We are done here. If you want to stick around and watch that other video, always welcome. I will not see you. You may see me. That'd be great. You know, once again, like, share, subscribe, little thumbs ups, little thumbs downs, all that kind of good stuff. But we're done. So that's it. Have a good one.